So the National Association of Realtors had a very big part in creating the 30-year home loan. This would have been during the Eisenhower administration. Why do we have 30-year mortgage? And if it's commercial loans, you can typically see that, I guess the word is coalescing around 15 years. You could make the argument from economic reality, given that people that do commercial, that own commercial real estate as opposed to, okay, I'm going to buy a single family home, 30-year conforming conventional loan, and put a renter in a place like Alabama or somewhere along the Great Lakes like Detroit in Michigan, in order, because these are the new places we have to look at, like I was saying, in order to, and there's places in Florida and along the Atlantic coast also. So there's places, well, no, there aren't in Hawaii if you're on this coast. But if they don't break even, so you're going to go that route, and you're paying 30 years. It's really an issue. It's better to go into commercial, because if you've got a loan that's 15 years, then that means you own double the amount while you're still paying the bank of the world, the politicians, all of reality. Because stake in the landscape means you own the DA. Stake in the landscape means you own the Attorney General. To the letter of the law, it works that way, and it can mean a lot of bad things for people that think the way I do in a lot of places. But we'll talk about that stuff later. So the real point I wanted to get to was, how do we solve the problem of a local life? And this is the stuff that a lot of people were talking about in the Obama era, when we had the freedom to think freely and creatively. Really the president of the United States had a lot of power in ways you would never believe. So the elites decided, we're going to trump up a man named Trump. 2016, the unexpected happens, and he gets into the Oval Office. He runs Joe Biden for 4 years, because if you're rich enough, you basically put someone under mind control. I think he was made a little more demented than he really was by it. But if you got a lot of money, you can fuck someone's head up. And, I beat, don't call me a sucker. And then there you go. And then now Kamala's on the stage. She's all too slow. There you have it. So then he wins, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So, okay. And this is stuff we were hearing about in films like Zeitgeist. What do we do about the problem that people are exploited by the fact that they have to live in a local area out of economic reality? Some people love to travel, and for the elites, we talk about private jets, we talk about charter jets, we talk about all this kind of stuff. And stuff I love to talk about. I want a private plane, but for the elites, they get to live lives that are outside of just one state, one county, one town, one city. And that's what I identify as. And even with no money, I just have to be someone that has a stake in the game here, a stake in the game here, a stake in the game here, knows the lawmakers, has a reason to be involved in things, because I'm an elite thinker that way. And so these interests that I have, yes, I'm gonna be honest, I think that way. But stringer photography, real estate advocacy, I like having a reason to be able to mingle with a lot of people, and they'd rather give it to someone that owns a shopping mall or a strip mall or even a fourplex in a rural town. But I insist on having that, what we call parity, MSNBC language. Give me parity and equity to the people with the real stake in the game. And in metropolitan areas, just by its very nature, it ends up functioning that way, where people that are broke, that are renters, that are lower level, because we're all in it together, to be here, like your MTS logo, MTS there, so we're all included, and we have a stake in the game. And there's even on many of the buses an ad from the San Diego DA about, auto insurance fraud and all of that stuff. Don't let people take advantage. You call the DA and report it. So, and it's in Spanish. So right there you have it. Things work a little differently in metropolitan areas. But what do we do about the problem of just that? People that don't want to have to live local lives. There's been a lot of talk about, restructuring the way, and it was actually in the Plum Valley Times. I got to find out who wrote this, but it was an absolutely insane article. When you got more people at lower levels that don't want to live local lives like me, you have to talk about, where does the person vote? Where should he have stake in the game? How should he have a voice? Should he have a legal interest in more state and more counties than one? And so he had it was a libertarian. He had a very unique take on what to do about it that was incredible social engineering, and I have to revisit it. I'll put a link in my description. But my idea about this, since we all have to work at Walmart, is American Airlines actually, for their pilots, they have a training center. I think it's in Florida at the Miami International Airport. I'll correct that in the description if I'm wrong, for the pilots that are going to be flying into Latin America, because American Airlines leads the way as in they fly there, into Latin America. And so those pilots have to know Spanish. And unique things about smaller, less controlled airports. That there should be similarly. Man, I'm out of shape. For Walmart employees that want to work in San Diego and in Tijuana, and this goes to my broader idea that if you are a Walmart employee, you should be able to clock in and work any Walmart you want. And there should be so many Walmart employees that they can work wherever they want, and there's always a demand for it. Put your vest on. And if you want to take a 7-hour drive, or if you want to get on a plane across the country, you can work your way doing that by clocking in at any Walmart. And there's your home to go make money for 8 hours. But so at a higher level, the elites would be the Walmart employees that have a stake, not only in multiple states, kind of like real brokerage, broker reciprocity is why they spell real backwards, like Learjet in their logo. Not only an interest in multiple states and the lawmakers and the policy and shaping policy in multiple states, because they can work at Walmart in all 50 in District of Columbia, but on an international level. So that's my solution. I'd like to be able to just clock in at Walmart and go wherever the road takes me.